Hello everyone. Welcome to UPSC CSE Notes. We are providing free important notes for competitive exam. Be active, deep focus. Let's start. Class 10 Ncert Economics Chapter 2. Sectors of the Indian economy. Economic activities. Those activities which generate some income are known as economic activities. For example, a computer engineer creating software for profit is making money from his work. Division of economic activities. Primary sector, related to farming activities. Secondary sector, related to manufacturing. Tertiary sector, provides support to other two sectors. Comparison of three sectors of the economy, through productivity and population, has thousands of economic activities going around in all three sectors. It makes almost impossible to take account of every such activities. We check only final goods and services. For example, a farmer who sells wheat to a flour mill for 8 rupees per kilogram. The mill grinds the wheat and sells the flour to a biscuit company for 10 rupees per kilogram. The biscuit company uses the flour and things such as sugar and oil to make 4 packets of biscuits. It sells biscuits in the market to the consumers for 60 rupees, 15 rupees per packet. Biscuits are the final goods, i.e., goods that reach the consumers. Gross domestic product, GDP. The value of final goods and services produced in all three sectors during a particular year. Provides the total production of the sector for that year is called the gross domestic product, GDP, of a country. More the GDP, more bigger the economy of the country. Historical changes in sectors. At initial stages of development, primary sector was the most important sector of economic activity in a country. With the innovation in farming method, agriculture sector began to produce much more food than before. People started working in industries. Some people also get involved in transportation. Gradually, secondary sector became the most important in economy and providing employment. Different industries related to food processing, equipments making, textiles coming in large numbers. This lead to start of services such as banking, health, education etc. The service sector has become the most important sector in terms of total production and started employing more people. Contribution in GDP. In the period of 1973-74, the primary sector has contributed maximum to the GDP, but in 2013-14 when tertiary sector has contributed maximum in GDP. Now the question is why? There are various factors behind this. Let's study these in detail. Factors behind the shift in contribution in GDP. The development of agriculture and industry leads to the development of services, such as transport, trade, storage, banking. The greater the development of the primary and secondary sectors, more would be the demand for such services. Where are most of the people employed? In the period during 1973-74, 40% is contributed by the primary sector and GDP of the country. Secondary sector contributed only 12% and 48% is contributed by the tertiary sector. Employment percent during the period of 1972-73, 74% people of India are engaged in primary sector, while only 15% are involved in tertiary sector. In 2013-14, the percent of contribution of tertiary sector in GDP of the country increased, and reached to 67%. The primary sector reduced to only 12%. The primary sector continues to be the largest employer during 2011-12. Disguised unemployment. More people engaged in agriculture than the necessity. This kind of underemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. It is also called disguised unemployment. How to create employment. Granting loans at lower interest rate, investing in infrastructure such as building a dam at suitable place. Increasing efficiency of transportation and storage. Promoting small-scale industries such as mills, honey collection centers. Emphasis on education and training center. Identifying potential of an area. For example, an area can be developed as tourist site. Government welfare schemes like making well or pump near farms, providing electricity, building hospitals. MGNREGA. The central government in India made a law implementing the right to work in 625 districts called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005 known as MGNREGA. 2005. Under MGNREGA. 2005. In rural areas, all those who are able to, and are in need of work, are guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. If the government fails in its duty to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowances to the people. Difference between organized and unorganized sectors. Organized sector are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations, while unorganized sector are largely outside the control of the government. Workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment, while in the unorganized sector, there is no job security. Organized sector are expected to work only a fixed number of hours, while in unorganized sector, there is no pay for overtime working. Organized sector workers get paid leave, payment during holidays, provident fund, gratuity, medical benefits etc., while no such benefits are given in unorganized sector. Examples of organized sectors are government employees, banks, while examples of unorganized sectors are home tutors, person working in small general stores. Classification of economic activities into sectors. On the basis of who owns assets and is responsible for the delivery of services. Activities can be classified into two types. Private sector. The government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. Example, railways or post office. Public sectors, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of private individuals or companies. Example, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, DISCO, or Reliance Industries Limited, RIL. Question. Find the odd one out and say why. 1. Tourist guide, Dobie, Taylor, Potter. Answer. Tourist guide, he is appointed by the government, while Dobie, Taylor and Potter belong to the private sector. 2. Teacher, doctor, vegetable vendor, lawyer. Answer. Vegetable vendor, his is the only profession that does not require a formal education. 3. Postman, cobbler, soldier, police constable. Answer. Cobbler, the rest are workers in the public sector, while his profession is part of the private sector. 4. MTENL, Indian Railways, Air India, Sahara Airlines, All India Radio. Answer. Sahara Airlines, it is a private enterprise, while the rest are government undertakings. Question. Do you think the classification of economic activities into primary, secondary and tertiary is useful? Explain how. Answer. The classification of economic activities into primary, tertiary and secondary is useful on account of the information it provides on how and where the people of a country are employed. Also, this helps in ascertaining as to which sector of economic activity contributes more or less to the country's GDP and per capita income. If the tertiary sector is developing much faster than the primary sector, then it implies that agriculture is depleting, and the government must take measures to rectify this. The knowledge that the agricultural profession is becoming unpopular or regressive can only come if we know which sector it belongs to. Hence it is necessary to classify economic activities into these, their sectors for smooth economic administration and development. Question. For each of the sectors that we came across in this chapter, why should one focus on employment and GDP? Could there be other issues which should be examined? Discuss. Answer. For each of the sectors that we came across in this chapter, one should focus on employment and GDP, because these determine the size of a country's economy. A focus on employment and GDP helps determine two important things: per capita income and productivity. Hence, in each of the three sectors, employment rate and status as well as its contribution to the GDP help us understand how that particular sector is functioning, and what needs to be done to initiate further growth in it. Yes, the other issues which should be examined are balanced regional development, equality in income and wealth among the people of the country, how to eradicate poverty, modernization of technology, self-reliance of the country, how to achieve surplus food production in the country. Question. How is the tertiary sector different from other sectors? Illustrate with a few examples. Answer. The tertiary sector different from other two sectors. This is because other two sectors produce goods, but this sector does not produce goods by itself. But the activities under this sector help in the development of the primary and secondary sectors. These activities are an aid or support for the production process. For example, transport, communication, storage, banking, insurance, trade activities, etc. For this reason, this sector is also known as service sector. Question. What do you understand by disguised unemployment? Explain with an example each from the urban and rural areas. Answer. Disguised unemployment is a kind of unemployment in which there are people who are visibly employed but are actually unemployed. This situation is also known as hidden unemployment. In such a situation, more people are engaged in a work than required. For example, In rural areas, this type of unemployment is generally found in agricultural sector like. In a family of 9 people all are engaged in the same agricultural plot. But if 4 people are withdrawn from it there will be no reduction in output. So, these 4 people are actually disguisedly employed. In urban areas, this type of unemployment can be seen mostly in service sectors. Such as in a family all members are engaged in one petty shop or a small business, which can be managed by less number of persons. Question. Distinguish between open unemployment and disguised unemployment. Pause the video to see given table. Pause the video to see given table. Question. Tertiary sector is not playing any significant role in the development of Indian economy. Do you agree? Give reasons in support of your answer. Answer. No, I do not agree with the statement that tertiary sector is not playing any significant role in the development of Indian economy. The tertiary sector has contributed vastly to the Indian economy, especially in the last 2 decades. In the last decade, the field of information technology has grown, and consequently, the GDP share of the tertiary sector has grown from around 40% in 1973 to more than 50% in 2003. Question. Service sector in India employs 2 different kinds of people. Who are these? Answer. The service sector in India employs the following 2 different kinds of people. There are the people involved in the services that may directly help in the production of goods. For example, people involved in the transportation, storage, communication, finance etc. The people involved in such services that may not directly help in the production of goods. Example teachers, doctors, barbers, cobblers, lawyers etc. They may be termed as ancillary workers means those who give services to the primary service providers. Question. Workers are exploited in the unorganized sector. Do you agree with this view? Give reasons in support of your answer. Answer. Yes, workers are exploited in the unorganized sector. This would be clear from the following points. There is no fixed number of working hours. The workers normally work 10 to 12 hours without paid overtime. They do not get other allowances apart from the daily wages. Government rules and regulations to protect the laborers are not followed there. There is no job security. Jobs are low paid. The workers in this sector are generally illiterate, ignorant and unorganized. So they are not in a position to bargain or secure good wages. Being very poor they are always heavily in debt. So, they can be easily made to accept lower wages. Question. How are the activities in the economy classified on the basis of employment conditions? Answer. On the basis of employment conditions, the activities in the economy are classified into organized and unorganized sectors. Organized sector, this sector covers those enterprises which are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations. For example, Reliance Industries Limited, Gale etc. Unorganized sector, it includes those small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. Though there are rules and regulations but these are never followed here. For example, casual workers in construction, shops etc. In this sector there is no job security. And the conditions of employment are also very tough. Question. Compare the employment conditions prevailing in the organized and unorganized sectors. Answer. The employment conditions prevailing in the organized and unorganized sectors are vastly different. The organized sector has companies registered with the government and hence, it offers job security, paid holidays, pensions, health and other benefits, fixed working hours and extra pay for overtime work. On the other hand, the unorganized sector is a host of opposites. There is no job security, no paid holidays or pensions on retirement, no benefits of provident fund or health insurance, unfixed working hours, and no guarantee of safe work environment. Question. Explain the objective of implementing the NREGA 2005. Answer. The objective of implementing the NREGA 2005 are to increase the income and employment of people. Every state/region can develop tourism, regional craft, IT etc. for additional employment. The central government made a law implementing the right to work in 200 districts. NREGA aims to provide employment of 100 days. If it fails to do so, it will give unemployment allowances to the people. Question. Give a few examples of public sector activities and explain why the government has taken them up. Answer. A few examples of public sector activities are provision of water, electricity and some modes of transport. The government has taken these up because water and power are needed by everyone. If the work of providing electricity and water is left to private enterprises, The latter might exploit this opportunity and sell these at rates which the masses cannot afford. Hence, to ensure that basic amenities like water and power are available for all, the government supplies these at low and affordable rates. Question. Explain how public sector contributes to the economic development of a nation. Answer. In the following ways public sector contributes to the economic development of a nation. It promotes rapid economic development through creation and expansion of infrastructure. It creates employment opportunities. It generates financial resources for development. It is ensuring equality of income, wealth and thus, a balanced regional development. It encourages development of small, medium and cottage industries. It ensures easy availability of goods at moderate rates. Contributes to community development, i.e. to the Human Development Index, HDI, via health and educational services. That's it. We have completed Chapter 2. Important notes. We are for you to give free education. Stay with us, learn more easily and free. Work for people and serve the country. Subscribe the channel and like. Jai Hind.